Hi, welcome to iconicfitness.com. Carissa here again, and I'm going to be talking a little bit more about hill climbs. In the last couple of videos I talked about how to climb up short climbs and longer climbs, and I just want to use this video to sort of back up what I was saying about the longer climbs, and just, you know, it's all about sustainability. It's not necessarily about fitness, it's just about getting to a pace that's sustainable for you. So I want to sort of read a few quotes from, you know, a couple of one very famous cyclist from England called Mark Cavendish, and another cyclist called Johnny Bellis, who is was part of the Great Britain Olympic Academy. So I'm just going to sort of talk about what they've got to say about climbing now, especially Mark Cavendish, as he's a sprinter and he's not a climber. So it is, you know, you might not think, oh, because he's not a climber, you know, I don't want to listen to him. But to get through the Tour de France, he's got to do some serious climbing. Although he's a sprinter, he's got to do some serious climbing to actually complete the stages. So he's got to learn how to do it, and how he's got to do it for himself, and maybe not to be the best climber, but to get himself over. So if you're not maybe the best climber in the world, you can use this this little tip here that he's got to say about it. So, as a rider who aims to survive mountain stages in the Tour de France, and remember he's just looking to survive them, not actually win them, rather than be at the front with the mountain specialists, he is a good man to ask about pacing yourself on the long climb. So he tends not to pay too much attention to his pulse monitor during the race, but believes they are useful in pacing yourselves on a long climb. So he's using a heart rate monitor to pace himself. Rather than using cadence and RPM, he's using his actual heart rate on how hard he's actually working. Knowing roughly what your heart rate you can sustain over a long climb is something you need to consider before the race. It's worth keeping a record of any training efforts on long climbs to get an idea of what heart rate you can ride in a race. So basically, as you're training, when you're climbing longer climbs, look at your heart rate and think about what intensity you're doing at that heart rate and record that. Because again, that's all about sustainability. You want to be at a certain heart, or get yourself into a certain heart rate for each climb. So yeah, just record your training ones, and when it comes to a race or a ride or an event or whatever it might be, use that. Use that as your gauge to monitor how hard you're working. And the next one is becoming a good climber isn't just about fitness. It's about learning to pace yourself. Okay, so again, we're not looking at how strong you are. It's just looking about how much you can sustain, how consistent you are on the climb. A pulse monitor may help, but as you get more experience, you'll be able to feel what it's like to maintain a pace at the start of a long climb that you can sustain all the way to the summit. So again, it's like I said, getting into a nice gear early and just sustaining that pace all the way through. Climbing is about finding that level and pace that you can hold all the way up the climb. There is no point following someone who is much faster than you at the start of the climb. You may be able to follow them for the first few kilometres, but you will blow up further up the climb. If you blow up on a long climb, you can go from 5th to 95th very quickly. So use those tips. All about sustainability and knowing how to pace yourself on a climb. However you do it, whether it's cadence, whether it's heart rate, whatever it might be, but pace yourself. Okay, get into a nice gear early and pace yourself. All right. Okay, brilliant. Thanks a lot for watching. But pace yourself. Okay, get into a nice gear.